Hello and welcome everybody to Get Good NA. We are in week 5, round 9. We're going to be taking a look at the expert division here between Dark Alliance and Floof. For your casting entertainment tonight, I'm going to be Sir Waltham, joined, of course, by Pulse61. Pulse, how are we feeling today about this match?
Feeling pretty hype. I got my water here for casting. I got my caffeine here for casting. I am ready for some Overwatch. And like we had previously said by Sir Waltham, this is going to be some awesome matches tonight. We have a first one coming in. It's an expert division match. So this is going to be two Grandmaster teams. It's Dark Allegiance versus Floof. And then later on, once we finish up this match, we will be going to an intermediate one between Wacky Wildcat Cubs, my bad, and Corvus Static. So stay tuned for that one after this.
Yeah, certainly going to be looking forward to this and the upcoming match here. Now, Pulse, we do have a little bit of time here before the match gets going right underway. We want to talk a little bit about the teams here, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. And what it looks like it's going to be starting off in the blue side, we have Dark Allegiance. So this team right now is 7-1 in GGNA, a very good record so far. Like you said, this is the 5th week, so they still have 2 more matches to close out before we go into the playoff section of Get Good. But 7-1 record, and what we'll see from them today is Blessna and I just click. So one of the ringers will be on DPS, Lancelot and Ploki on tank, and then Seth and Money Baloney will be filling out their roster for support.
Yeah, certainly. And while we look at the other side onto Floof, for the DPS lineup, we're going to be seeing Totoro and Daily Furball. For tanks, it's going to be Yoshikis and Mesmer. Night Meadow and Mookie rounding out this team composition here on the support lineup. So overall, going to be an interesting game, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Floof 5-3 versus Dark Allegiance 7-1. Both these two teams have a winning record, but there are still 2 matches to close out. So things can swing either way as we get into playoffs. But there's absolutely plenty of time for these teams to make their mark and get those final couple wins they need to get as high a rank as possible going into the season finals.
Yeah, of course, we're going to be looking to get that first of 3 win here. Both these teams going to be looking for that. And overall, as we look into the map that's going to be coming up here in a second, we did get word that it's going to be Lijiang Tower, as perhaps mentioned a little bit earlier. Pulse, how do we feel about that?
We see Lijiang pretty much every week here on Get Good. Like we were talking about it earlier, but like Lijiang is just very favored among pretty much every division, every team here. And it's kind of interesting to see because it is one of those maps that plays a lot differently than other ones. Like it's one that Pharah has always been very powerful, especially like if you can run a good Pharah Tracer. And as of late, we've seen quite a lot of Symmetra play on Night Market and like brawly comps where you just get to point fast, try and win that early fight and close it out that way. So it plays very differently than pretty much any other control map. Teams that like to run Pharah, that like to run Echo, or even have a good like a Slambulance, something that like is just a heavy ground and pound comp, really like to come to this map, which is kind of interesting because from Dark Allegiance, they have been playing very well. They've been running a lot of Ashe Tracer, which isn't something that I really think of when I think of Lijiang. Like Ashe is good to help shut down a Pharah if necessary, but doesn't play too well in maps like Control Center or even on Night Market if you want to play the point well. So I want to see how they play this, but they absolutely have to have some strategy coming in. We will be going to Control Center first, so we'll likely see a different variation of how they want to run this comp, but it will be going indoors for the first round of Lijiang.
Yeah, and when you talk about this command center map, you often have to kind of consider, what are the implications of a map like this? A lot of time you'll see something like a Reaper May, or you'll see something very, very in that brawly, up in your face kind of concept. So I'm looking forward to seeing if the teams are going to roll out with that here. It looks like maybe not.
I'm starting to see some things that I would fully expect. The BAP makes sense with the Orisa. Orion Orisa is very strong. You can use the pull to just get everyone within hammer swing range. And these Symmetras, I would actually be surprised if they swap on them, but a lot of teams have been doing this just to get to point faster. And this is a Grandmaster game, so teams are going to take every advantage they can get.
Yeah, and it certainly looks like this fight going to be getting pretty heavy here. Right underway. Blessna already getting some very early kills moving on, but trades coming through. Right now looking a little bit disorganized, but Yoshikis actually trying to drop that Earth Shatter very early. Does seem to help them turn the fight, and with that, it's going to be Floof taking the first point.
Yeah, just a couple last kills coming through from Totoro on this May, but as soon as this Orisa is going to get a little bit staggered, you're not going to want that. But no percentage is built yet. It's not the biggest loss, and that Lucio will be able to escape with his life, so no further stagger there. so far, that shatter came out incredibly quickly. Yoshikis did end up dying in the fight and will have to be back, but there will be a brief opening here. If Lancelot wants to try and make a play, start swinging, but they're going to have to fight on point into a wrist shield.
Yeah, and Daily Furball taking down Blessna is going to be a good opening, or I guess a good continuation here for Floof. And the Maywall coming out, going to be sectioning off all of the Dark Allegiance. And that's going to be brutal, but the Immortality Field going in, keeping them alive for the time being. Daily Furball just plugging those Hellfire shotguns right into the gut of Lancelot. Blessna going to have a few words to say about it, though, as an Icicle finds the head of that Reaper. Earthshatter online for Yoshikis, chooses not to use it into this fight, gets halted in, and the amplification. The Earthshatter now coming out, it's going to be landing on 4. The sound barrier coming out from Money Baloney to keep everybody alive and in this fight. The amplification window now coming out from Mookie, trying to help things out, keep their team in the fight, but I Just Click has some words to say about that, getting 3 with the Reaper Death Blossom. This now looks like it's going to turn in favor of Dark Legions as they capture point.
Yeah, that Blizzard slowed them down just a little bit, but the Reaper will quickly die with his team. Stays around with that Death Blossom for next fight, so that's an option they're going to have in Night Meadow. More importantly, has that sound barrier. They got up to 50%. You might want a little bit more than that here, but if Lancelot can get a shatter, they can very easily strengthen this hold.
Yeah, they absolutely get that shatter. They get 3, but no kills coming off the back of it. Daily Furball going to be dropping that Death Blossom, finding another 3. Triples seem to run in packs when it comes to these Death Blossoms, and that's going to be the flip going over for Floof.
Very quick flip too, only 27%. You saw a couple ultimates come out, you saw that sound barrier, you saw that Reinhardt shatter, and now Blessna really the only one online with an impactful ult right now, has that Blizzard to go, but they have to get through this choke, and this choke is brutal for attacking teams.
It certainly will be. We're going to hear that Blizzard be used rather early on in this fight. It's going to be the charge coming out from Yoshikis just to get away, but they get him on the back foot. With this, it looks like Dark Allegiance turning the tides here a little bit. It's going to be Daily Furball last to fall.
Yeah, very quick fight, very quick flip. This point will go over now 78 or so, 77%. So there's a little bit of time here to work with. There's not quite last fight territory if things were to go south and Floof captures this point, but again, no real big ultimates other than that Reinhardt shatter, so Yoshikis needs to make this one count.
They'll certainly be looking to hear Blessna's wall coming out just a little bit too early, but a superior wall coming in from Totoro. Totoro not going to be living to see it for very long, though. And with this, Dark Allegiance continuing to take this fight and hold at this choke rather steadfast.
Very quick fight, very few ultimates invested again. Still looking at that Reinhardt shatter from Yoshikis. Seth did use the window to get through, but now Mookie can fire back with really their own choice, but they can do this, pressure the shields, maybe make an opening for Yoshikis. This should be a very quick fight, but they just need to get the pacing down.
Yeah, the Immortality, or the Amplification Field trying to come out with the Reinhardt combo. Not going to be doing it too much damage as that Immortality Field does come out. But Totoro taking down their opponent in Blessna. May versus May action going on the field right about now. Yoshikis going to be throwing in the shatter, gets both the supports. As well, Lancelot going to be returning, getting Totoro and Yoshikis. The sound barrier from Money Baloney was not cleaned up fast enough when caught in that Earth Shatter. And because of it, it looks like Dark Allegiance going to be having enough sustainability to win this fight as soon as Daily Furball drops.
That beat did wonders for them. They were able to hold on, get it all the way to 94%. And I don't think anyone can actually touch. This is just too few kills too early in the fight. And no, the wall comes out and no one's able to be on point at all. And very convincing take back from Dark Allegiance, but that was a very close map throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, you got to be pretty pleased about that if you're on the side of Dark Allegiance. And aside from, convincingness, those fights just seemed to be so quick. There wasn't a fight that felt like it took over 15 seconds, at least, from where I'm standing here, Pulse. And it's just kind of goes to show the aggression of these teams, I'd imagine.
And we do see a lot of the same stuff starting to come out on Gardens. Just that sim early on. I wonder if this May and the Sombra are going to stick, because there have been a lot of variations that I've seen on Gardens as of late, but no, we do see the Echo come out. The Torb actually will not stick, which we've seen a little bit in Overwatch League play, but instead we will have dueling Echoes, dueling dive tanks on a Brig, so nothing too surprising coming out on Garden so far.
Yeah, the full mirror going to be coming out from both these teams. An early dive coming in from Yoshikis, trying to tear up that backline. Not going to be able to quite get that damage, and in fact will pay with their life, but it's going to be to the benefit of Floof as they do come up numbers positive here. Totoro taking down I Just Click means a lot of the teeth have been pulled from this team, and looks like Floof's going to have first possession of point.
Yeah, very convincing too. Quick take, a lot of ultimate charge built up. Daily Furball is right now the closest one at around 50% to that pulse bomb. not a whole lot you're going to see coming out from that, but early control with a brig, early control of point with dive is going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be hard to flip this point, especially since Totoro has that defensive aerial advantage, doesn't really have to make any angles, and he can just keep spamming down these chokes.
And as we see here, it's going to be I Just Click getting caught out a little bit here by Totoro and company. Now the numbers advantage once again in hand for Floof. Blessna going to be turning to the tides a little bit with Yoshikiss's death. The pulse mine going out from Daily Furball does actually find Lancelot. Looks like it didn't stick, but it doesn't matter if the explosion damage is worth it. With this, Floof continues to be dominant on this point. There are just a few members they need to clean up. Money Baloney going to be one of the last to fall after this baby diva.
And that stagger's not the worst, but you definitely don't like to see it if you're Ploki there. Just getting couple more percentage can be huge in these fights. And now Totoro online with that Echo duplicate. You see the Brig ult, you see Mookie with that nano boost. So many options available for the defense, and there's going to have to be an amazing play here from Dark Allegiance if they want to flip this and get in control, possibly dropping 4 or even more ultimates just to turn this fight.
That play is going to try to come through with the nano boost onto the Winston. Lancelot trying to deal that damage. Blessna dangerously low, does manage to take down Night Meadow, though this is a good opening. But Totoro coming in with an ultimate of their own, that duplicate, as we mentioned before, able to build up that primal so quickly. But it doesn't look like numbers are quite for them just yet. Yoshikiss and Totoro. Totoro actually torn down, I believe, before that primal rage came out in full. And with this, it looks like Floof still trying to fight this back, but Blessna getting a double with those mines. And that Echo player absolutely helped out Dark Allegiance here.
Yeah, this Tracer and Winston just cleaned up everything else on that point. Dark Allegiance do flip the point, but it's at 87%. This is do or die territory. They need to win every fight from here on out if they want to even come back on this point. And things are looking pretty good for Floof right now. They did use quite a bit of ultimates, but if they can get an opening with a Diva Bomb or a Tracer Pulse Bomb here, just find the right pick at the right time, they can flip this and take control of this map very quickly.
Yeah, both Winston's going to be diving in here. Blessna on the duplicate, trying to buy some space. The pulse mine does go on to Money Baloney, but it's going to be Ploki getting the triple kill off the Diva Bomb because of all the control put down by Blessna. And with this, it looks like Dark Allegiance may be able to hold here.
Yeah, they hold, they will. The Diva's not going to get staggered. Just takes a dip in the pond for just to cool off a little bit, And now they use everything they had. Floof, things are starting to look a little bit dicey. Their ult economy is not in the best part, to say the least. I Just Click has the Pulse Bomb. That's really the only thing they have to respond with. But they get this Pulse Bomb, easy 10, 15 more seconds on their clock.
Yeah, they certainly. And with that, Blessna going to be opening up this kill again for this team, getting the 2 early picks into this fight. Dark Allegiance already off on the right direction here. It looks like they're going to try to keep up the pressure, but as quickly as they did, they're going to back it off.
Yeah, and Floof, you just see trying to get back into this game with their ult economy. They've been struggling to get in. They've been losing these picks very early in the fight. They can't really find anything with it, but finally they do get an entrance. They get into White Room, but you kind of get staggered in here when you're dive, and they need to get out. They need to get on point, force a fight.
Yeah, Lancelot going to be going in, taking down Night Meadow with that nano boost. Yoshika's taking an anti-nade, but going to be having that primal rage in their pocket to keep themselves sustained either way. Lancelot does take down Mookie. A large amount of healing now going to be gone for Floof. Yoshika's trying to make something happen, but burned down so quickly. The Diva duplicate coming out from Blessna just to help secure this point.
Yeah, 96, 97. Right now, there's just one person triggering stall, and it's the Brig with Rally. A little bit of a raid boss, but it's just final fight territory cleanup for Dark Allegiance, and they have this map.
Yeah, and the Lucio not even going to be able to stay on point for that long. Blessna doing their best, again, with that Echo to really try to clean up Clip's Night Meadow as they round the corner. Wrecking Ball going to be on point. Yoshika's just trying to survive, getting off that Winston onto the Wrecking Ball, but he falls once again to those cluster mines.
And takes down the Tracer, takes down the Wrecking Ball. Overtime ticks down, and that's it. Dark Allegiance, what looked like an impossibility for them, take back Gardens, hold it for 100% without losing a fight, and take Lijiang because of it. They're now up 1-0 in this fight. And
yeah,
what a scary map from them. This is not a team to screw around with.
Yeah, I gotta really give them some credit that especially when they had that fight where they drained Floof of a lot of those crucial ultimates. We saw, I believe, the primal come in, the duplicate primal come in from Blessna, and they were able to just juggle everybody into corners, get that massive Diva Bomb after those ultimates were already invested. Just, you love to see that kind of utility coming out from a team, and that kind of ultimate control as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dark Legion's just on another level with their alt economy and how they've been rotating through alts and how they've been very hesitant to overinvest in these fights. Like you saw it multiple times on Control Center, you saw it multiple times on Gardens, but they were very intelligent in making sure that they would use one or two alts like they planned. And then no matter how dicey things got, they would rely on their individual plays to keep momentum in fights going, keep things in their advantage. And you never saw a single moment where I'd look at Dark Allegiance and be, you know, they could have shattered there, cleaned it up. A lesser team would have done something like that, but no, they just held on to them. So they were always at an advantage of these fights. But we will be taking a quick break to fix a couple sync issues real quick. So stay tuned for some amazing maps, and we got quite the map for you coming up next in Junkertown. All right, we fixed our issues. We are back and ready for some Overwatch. And like I hinted at before we went to break, Junkertown is going to be our next map, which is
Mhm.
not something I get to see a whole lot. So I'm pretty excited about this. But like we said, this is the Get Good North America expert division game right now between Dark Allegiance and Floof. These teams very close so far after that Lijiang win, but that 2-0, not really the scoreline that we would have expected given how close they were playing.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit on Lijiang, but these fights are feeling like they're going at a blistering pace here, Pulse. I don't know. I think we're in for potentially some high scoring maps if the fights continue to go like this.
Absolutely. And like we were saying, that 2-0, not really indicative of the play that we saw because both those maps were like 80 or above to 100. So
Mhm.
things were getting really dicey and and sparks were flying, alts were flying. You saw blizzards going crazy and okay, maybe not blizzards going crazy, but you get the picture. Like it was very intense. These teams are very well practiced and in the end, it came down to Dark Allegiance alt tracking and how they were investing in fights, and they never at any point over invested. So they set themselves up to 100-0 basically flip Lijiang Gardens and come back from sheer doom to take that victory 2-0.
Yeah, and I think if you were listening at all to what was going on, I give a lot of credit of that to Blesna. It seemed like that Echo was able to find so much early opening into those fights. It seemed so crucial. So I think that's going to be a player we might have to keep an eye out as we go on to these next few maps.
Absolutely. And like we saw Blessna on the May on first map, we saw Blessna on the Echo. And we weren't really talking about the maze a whole lot because both of them were doing their jobs. You saw the walls coming up correctly, you saw the teams rotating around correctly. But when it came to that echo play, you saw a lot of coordination between Blesna and Lancelot, either on dives going into the back line as just double Winston, which is scary. And you need that kind of dive if you want to play Echo at the highest level. So now Junkertown, Echo's not really going to be an option on first point, but we do see the double hit scan coming out. Dark Allegiance still going to be on that blue defensive side first. Well, it's not going to be on that Hanzo with, I just click moving over to the Widow.
Yeah, and hopefully I just click going to be living up to their name on that widow, just getting clicking heads. Ideally,
Well, see,
uh,
clicking heads isn't in the name. It's just I click.
oh
So it might
well,
be like a point and click type of gamer. You know, you never know with these players, but I expect some good things from these widows. It is in fact an expert division, and it's always going to be amazing.
yeah. Either way, if they press WASD at all, I'm sending them a court letter. With that being said, the gates are going to be opening up here, and it looks like it's going to be actually the Tracer Widow coming out on the attack from Floof.
Not too surprising. Tracer to get some angles to help finish up some of these daily furball body shots or headshots potentially to get around, but goes for a jump shot, doesn't find anything. Right now, it's just tanks getting positioning. Daily furball getting the very long sight lines, trying to find something, and doesn't want to peek too early because if you're in the wrong spot and go, nice
Yeah,
body shot to finish up that Sigma.
yeah, that's the kind of coordination you want with your Orisa if you're playing a Widow. That halt coming in, pulling Floki right into the sight lines. Money Baloney, though, going to be trying to even things up just a little bit, taking down Mesmer. No Sigma going to be online for Floof, and it looks like the Widow's kind of contemplating a little bit of a duel here. Blesna takes down Yoshikis, though, and now it looks like the sight lines are coming online for Dark Allegiance, and they're taking this fight a little bit.
Yeah, they are getting the finishing kills. The Zen is unable to get out. Mookie gonna have to take a long ride back to spawn with that respawn, but Blessna just looking for some scouting information. And right now, Floof can't really do anything. They're just waiting for everyone to come back. The sights are up, the Hanzo sonic arrows out. They're just waiting for everything to end so they can get the angles they need. But right now, Daily Furball taking on the Herculean task of taking out 2 snipers as a single Widow, and it's proving to be very difficult for them.
Yeah, I just want to point out, I just click already used those infra sights. Daily Furball only at about 40% for theirs. So it's going to be looking pretty intense here. Daily Furball actually taking down, I just click the Widow v Widow seems to be going all in favor of the attackers right now. Totoro going to be trying to dive onto that Sigma. Floki going to be fending them off though, enforcing that recall right out of the gate. Floof continues edging up onto this angle, trying to make something happen. The shot's not quite landing for Daily Furball on towards the Sigma. The Dragons coming out from Blesna don't seem to really do a great job in splitting the attacking team here either. Floof still seems pretty unhindered. In fact, will take Lancelot out on that Ori roll. The Widow v Widow going to be locking down, but Daily Furball deciding that Valor is the better part of, or discretion is the better part of Valor, and with that helping Mookie take down Seth.
Ooh, that should be the point, but
Well,
I just click does find the Widow. There will be a final chance if I just click wants to go for the hero play, but instead backs up, just doesn't want to die, doesn't want to get staggered, and this will be point A for the attackers in Floof, and now they have to roll on through B. They have that Tracer with a Pulse Bomb. One of those could be a massive opening. Both teams do have both tank ults, both have the Zen support ult coming up, but Money Baloney is the difference maker with that window. They can make some pressure, they can help their Orisa turn into a Bastion for a couple seconds. They have some options available here.
Ooh, Tracer creeping up on this high ground, perhaps trying to get the stick, gonna be forcing it, not diving right in, not going for the pulse mine too immediately, perhaps want the fights to get a little bit more engaged here. Taking down the Venom Mine, but that alerts I just click, who takes them down with a nasty headshot. The Immortality Field's gonna come out, I just click lands a second, and with that, it looks like the side of Floof gonna be backing up a little bit here. They don't want to taste any more of that Venom.
That was absolutely disgusting, cleaning up the fight single-handedly, and now you see Daily Furball moving over to the Hanzo. They're done taking this double sniper duel as a Widow because that's just so difficult to deal with. Hanzo will get some easier angles on this point with just being able to climb walls and get around, but again, you see the attackers have to wait out these sonic arrows. They don't want to push in too soon, get caught out by all this damage coming through, and again, Lancelot still has that Orisa bongo, and as a defensive Orisa, they can just melt anyone they choose.
Yeah, both shields getting torn down for the attackers on Floof right now. Totoro taking down Blesna, though. That's going to be a pretty good opportunity. The amplification field coming in. The Hulk trying to pull somebody in, and Daily Furball is absolutely going to capitalize on that with the Hanzo. Totoro still up there in the lines of fire of the enemy, trying to just tear apart that.
They just want to find the Widow, get back for that dirty headshot earlier, and the attackers now have control of this card. They will be able to roll this through here, and now we see Yoshikis with the defensive Orisa advantage. They have control, they have the bongo. It's going to be very painful to get on here. I just click actually going over to Tracer in an attempt to contest this, but Blesna has the Dragons to make space, force people off card if they want.
Yeah, it looks like the contest will be coming through last second, but I just click, gonna be taken down. That's gonna be an early loss for the defenders here. The Transcendence coming in from Seth. Ploki also gonna be trying to level the field here with the grab Flux, but Mookie as well has that Transcendence, both get answered for. And the attackers coming up heads on this fight right now. 4 kills going their way. It's just gonna be the Hanzo. He gets cleaned up. The cart almost makes it to point, but I just click, gonna be able to get that last minute contest. Not enough though.
Yeah, Totoro almost gets taken down the Tracer duel on the retreat from I just click, but both get out safe to their team. He's trying to look for this. Blesna does make the swap over to Ashe after investing the Dragons in the last fight. So now, quite a few changes coming out from the original composition we saw from Dark Allegiance. They now are on Tracer and Ashe to try and get Dynamites follow up on them, but the tank lines are still staying adamantly the same. Yoshik is still sitting on this supercharger for this fight, and Daily Furball, if they line something up with their Orisa here, they can easily find a massive dragon with that hull.
Yes, just going to be Mesmer on this high ground. The Dragons coming out from the Hanzo. Daily Furball trying to find something, as mentioned earlier. Doesn't really get much of a split either. Supercharger now going to be coming out from Yoshikis. Now it's their turn to try to use their ult to maximum advantage. But Money Baloney going to be answering with an amplification field. They will be taken down though, and now again, the fight seems to be pretty favorable for Floof here. They're going to be diving in, trying to make it happen. Diving onto that Ashe, throwing out a wild pulse bomb. Doesn't find it, but cleans up Loki anyway. With this, it looks like Floof going to continue moving this card.
Yeah, they are. They are losing a little bit of time just from the Tracers coming in and touching, but you do see I just click get out for a final contest. This card's starting to roll in about 2 minutes on the clock. A very good time for Junkertown if they can clean this up right here, right now. And I just click gets caught out.
Ooh. Yeah, a very painful loss. Daily Furball quick on the storm, arrows coming in. And now the Zenyatta trying to get away, trying to make safety. But the rewind coming in from Totoro is too powerful. Absolutely navigating around Seth, tearing them apart in 2 pieces. With that, it looks like this is all but assured for the side of Floof as it gets driven to the points.
What a fight from Floof, too. They were struggling a little bit to get initial control of that cart on A, but once they got rolling, they absolutely got rolling. Totoro just able to find these angles, harass the supports, keep them off the cart so that it was very rarely slowed down. And on Junkertown, slow start on an A isn't unusual, so it's going to be up to Dark Allegiance to try and fire back and not only finish Junkertown, but finish with a decent time, because finishing with like any time on Junkertown is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Floof definitely set a very brisk pace here. 1 minute and 30 is perhaps one of the more favorable times, if as you mentioned, if you even get to finish in Junkertown. So let me ask you here, Pulse. Do you think that the same kind of look will come out from Dark Allegiance now that they're on the attack, or do you think they're going to try to lean a little bit away from those double snipers and tracers?
It was working pretty well for them, so I don't think they should shy away from it if it's something that they've been scrimming or they've been practicing. Right now, we do see Floof opt for the double sniper, which isn't something we saw from the last time. Totoro getting a lot of value on that tracer once things got rolling. So now it's going to be Floof's turn to show us how they look on this double sniper. Blesna is going to be on this Ash, which isn't too surprising given what we've seen teams running in Owl and Contenders. A lot of pressure, not quite a sniper, but kind of a sniper in that weird territory. But that dynamite really helps out a lot, forcing tanks off point. So it makes sense. They're starting to line up like they're just going to walk out with it, and I can't be too mad at it. But I just click is going to move over to this Widow, possibly for an early jump shot, but I got to wonder if they're going to stick with the Widow or the Hanzo.
Certainly might be a little bit more of a bold option. Going to be landing a headshot onto Yoshikis rather early, making them have to reposition just a bit, but not going to be finding any kills off the back end. But a nice headshot onto Mesmer, who has to take a quick retreat now. And already Dark Allegiance has kind of carved out a little bit of space here.
Yeah, this first point, though, is Brad Freeman. Furball responds back with the headshot. They're going to have to just kind of wait and hide around corners and get cart distance a little bit. But right now, Sigma, Floki in the back's trying to deal with the sniper in Hanzo and the Sigma, but gets caught out, sent back to spawn. Meanwhile, Lancelot, what are you doing on a cart? Because you're finding the picks.
Lancelot is trying to make it happen, and indeed succeeding just a little bit. Mesmer and Totoro here off in the back, off trying to just survive, but Lancelot not letting anybody get away.
The legendary Battle Cattle himself, finding 4 kills in that fight, just demands that he owns cart and completely takes it home with that fight. I want to see that in the replay and the highlights. It's just the Orisa 4K going on in the backline. Now, they set themselves up perfectly. I just click gets taken down, but has sight lines and trades the Zen, more importantly. So they will be down a healer from the defense. But the offense is down a sniper. If Blesna can get a big dynamite, that can change things for the offense very quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of Blesna, they take down Daily Furball with an early headshot in from the Ash Viper rifle. The Immortality Field going to be coming out from Money Baloney, trying to keep the team alive, but it doesn't look like either team's really getting too antsy to push up into the other's territory. They're just kind of letting the cart move, but Night Meadow taken down by I Just Click as that amplification comes up. Floki trying to 1v1 a Zenyatta here, goes for the grasp, ends up missing it. And with that, it looks like Dark Elite is going to be on the road to have a decent pace for second point completion.
Yeah, and we were wrong to ever even kind of doubt them, because right now they're just rolling through this. They did not struggle on A, they did not struggle on B. 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes actually, in a Junkertown point C is an absurdity. Like, anyone that doesn't play the game that's watching has to realize how nutty this is.
And the eat from Bloki. Bloki actually taking the dragons out of Totoro's bow. Bob gonna be going onto the field from Blesna, just laying down a line of fire. Might be a bit bold to use it this early when the card hasn't even rounded the point.
But if you get the team wipe for it, I can't say that it's like not worth it, right? They push the entire team back to point C defender spawn. You see, I Just Click has the perfect Widow spot for Junkertown point C, and it's very hard to contest this, especially when you're not running a Tracer Genji. And they get the Venomine, they get some headshots, but it's Blesna to die first in this fight. They're gonna have to retreat a little bit.
Yeah, Daily Furball doing their job, getting that opening pick. That's gonna be so crucial here. Floki getting focused out, pulled by the halt, taken dangerously low by a headshot coming in from Daily Furball. Does have that grasp to keep themselves up, however. Now the amplification field coming out from Window, I should say. And Loki gonna be throwing in the kinetic, or the grab flux, trying to make things happen. Doesn't get too much damage as that damage is healed up by Mookie. Seth gonna be then popping their trance in second. But Mesmer trying to respond with a grab flux of their own. Does get Lancelot though, that Battle Cattle taken out, and Daily Furball taking down Blesno with a headshot as Blesno is charging towards them. Loki trying to make a survival here, kept alive by their supports and the immortality field. I just clicked trying to turn things around. So far seeming like they're succeeding right about now. And with this fight going both ways, but Dark Allegiance doesn't seem to have the manpower as the last few remaining members are going to get clipped. That is until the Wrecking Ball comes in.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball does find a little bit of value, but it's so late, too little, too late. Daily Furball is looking for this stagger kill on the Widow, but the grappling hook gets I just click out to relative safely, and this is going to be a full reset from Dark Allegiance. Finally, Floof has found the opening they needed. They have stalled out Cart, and not only that, they took 2 minutes off of the clock in that final fight alone that we just saw. So now things have kind of reset. Things have kind of calmed down for Floof. They can get in the space that they need to. They still have to worry about the Bob though. Like no joke about that. They can get a lot of pressure. The turret's coming out, and it's Mesmer that gets taken very low very early on. So they're gonna be on full retreat.
Yeah, they're gonna be a little bit on the back heels, gonna be rocking it backwards. The Tracer trying to make a play here, not really quite finding it up on top of that fidget spinner. The Bob now gonna be launched into the battlefield right in front of Cart, right on the Cart's landing spot as it goes. Night Meadow going to be throwing down that immortality field and amplification window. Daily Furball landing these shots, going to be taking down their opponent in I just click, but nobody's there to contest. Nobody's there to contest.
They were all in the immortality field. They were just so focused on staying alive and trying to get the picks that they didn't realize Cart was being pushed, and it rolled in for free with 3 minutes on the clock.
Oh, yeah, hate to see it.
Oh my god. You absolutely hate to see it. Like, it happened and I just jumped out of my seat.
I don't know. That wasn't looking too bad for Floof either. Like,
no,
like
they were starting to run it back. That was like the Widow headshots were good. They were starting to come out. They find a couple people through the window. They were getting a lot of damage onto the Orisa, and it just the Cart parked itself when no one was paying attention.
Yeah, it was such a shame.
There's to see it.
I don't know how to describe the disappointment I'm feeling for the team in any more words. But if we're looking at bright sides, at least from a caster point of view, but just between you and me, Pulse, I'm loving the Widow plays that are coming through from both sides, right? Like normally when you see really good Widow plays, it's like, oh, that Widow's just dominating the opposing team. I feel like Daily Furball and I Just Click are both having their opportunities in the sunlight here.
Yeah, like right now, all 3 players that have been sticking to these sniper heroes, Blesna, I Just Click, Daily Furball, have all been having their moments. Totoro having their moments, but like watching a flanker hero pop off is very different than a sniper. Yeah, the snipers so dictate the pace of this game, so dictate the angles that you can take. So Totoro's having a very large impact when it matters, but it's so hard for a Tracer to fight into these type of sight lines that the defense is making you take.
Yeah, and with that, this first fight going to be taking underway here. Furball trying to get the early damage onto Floki with that Sigma. Not going to be quite finding too much, though. Again, this is just a little bit of Cart progress. Both teams going to be kind of poking, trying to make an opportunity happen early. Doesn't really seem like they'll find it.
No, the halts come out. The Dynamite's good, but I Just Click is the first one to find a headshot. Now it's the defense in control of this fight.
Yeah, I Just Click continues to land these headshots. Night Meadow taken down on that Baptiste. And right now, Totoro does not see, or Yoshikis, excuse me, does not seem long for this world as they get burned alive by that Dynamite. Dark Allegiance holds.
Yeah, and that Dynamite just completely sealed the deal. As soon as the Widow shot comes out, finds the first pick, the Dynamite's there to clean everyone else up. It's the defense now with so many advantages. This is the exact same type of hold they put on first type. And now Totoro is forced to switch with 30 seconds left. You're going to have to find something because you threw away a pulse bomb for this, and it's entirely going to be down to Daily Furball and Totoro to open this up because right now, tanks have so much trouble doing it with the sight lines the defensive has.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw Yoshikis take a massive headshot coming in from I Just Click, who almost has those infra sights online, so if they want the element of any sort of surprise, they need to make it count. Money Baloney going to be going down, though Yoshikis does find that. Takes down Bob, who was on the cart trying to contest. Oh, but Daily Furball takes down I Just Click as that infra sight comes up. Absolutely succeeding on that Widow as they need to here. They need to just try to get this carry through, but Is this a little bit of a swing back from the Dark Allegiance here? They are getting the kills coming in. Night Meadow dangerously low. Loki gonna clean them up, then follow up in their counterpart Mookie with a giant accretion to the face. Overtime's gonna burn down, and indeed Allegiance holds it here.
Yeah, and it was a very good hold, and I like the strategy that Floof is running out on. They're very committed to this sniper plus tracer, and it's working for them when they can get control of the cart. However, First Point Junkertown is just not a tracer map, and you see why. There's so much open area. You saw how far back I just click, how far back Blesna were standing. And a tracer can't approach snipers from that angle. You have to go across so much open ground. You have to blow every single cooldown in the book without taking damage from either of the main chokes, from either the Sigma or the Orisa. And both teams have been doing it. They've been sending a Sigma to one side to shut down the back alley entrance, or what I call the back alley at least. It's sort of right up against the Junkertown outer wall around the buildings, while the Orisa, the Ash, the BAP are all just locking down the front entrance. And it's so hard to get Totoro into a position where they can pop off, where they can find the value they need to on Tracer. And they were just a little too committed to it for as little time that they had.
Yeah, I have to agree. Based, just off of what we've seen, it did not seem like the sauce was quite there for Floof to at least get it as far as they may have preferred. Ideally, you want to get 6 points on the board, but they struggled and didn't even succeed in getting one. So they're going to be running out back on this double sniper composition, and we're going to see if it finds success this time. Totoro seemed a little bit more comfortable on Tracer.
We didn't see as much coming out from the Hanzo First Point. I mean, part of that was because Lancelot just went absolutely crazy on the Orisa, but they will have another shot to show us what they're worth. Blesna taken very low early on, will have to retreat, get some healing from the Zenyatta, but is looking for some dynamites now while the Widows just wait for things to come into their crosshairs.
Yeah, and both teams hopefully learning their lesson about staying outside of crosshairs, but I just click going to be taking a shot from Daily Furball. Not going to be brought to their knees quite yet. Of course, Dark Allegiance has to win basically one more team fight in order to carry this. Mesmer brought dangerously low, but it's going to be Totoro who ends up getting the first kill. Blesna then taking down Mookie. The kills are looking like a checkerboard right now, and it's just going back and forth in the most literal fashion, but that's going to work out well for the attackers if they can regroup and get ahead here. Doesn't look like it's going to count, though.
Yeah, they do stagger Blesna. Like you said, the biggest pick would have been Mookie on that set because it takes the Zenyatta so long to float back to point. But because of the late stagger kill on the Ash, because of everything else, the defense will have some time to breathe here. More importantly, Daily Furball has that ultimate. It's not super impactful as Widow, but it can easily shave off time from the clock because teams don't want to push into it. Night Meadow has that window to help Yoshikis turn into a Bastion turret for a couple seconds. But the cart, this is one fight for the defense, and Floof loses, so they have to be very careful here.
Yeah, absolutely. The Widow's going to be trying to duel in the back lines. They're not really focusing on the front of the fight. Night Meadow going to be dropping that amplification window, though. Yoshikis taking down Lancelot off the back end of it. Little help from the Zenyatta as well, but Totoro taken down by a headshot from I Just Click, trying to mount onto that higher area. And right now, again, it looks like both teams are just being a little bit conservative, neither really wanting to push their advantage too much. Daily Furball dangerously low, gonna be backing off, but Mookie, again, brought down relatively early into this fight. And the Bob, now thrown in from Blesna, gonna be trying to deal that damage with the amplification field coming out. Looks like the entirety of the team, again, nobody there to touch cart. It's gonna be Dark Allegiance.
That one wasn't as painful as the point C take, though, but just because it was pretty much just the BAP left alive, trying to fend his life off from the scary butler in the back line, right? The Bob just shooting him. Yeah. But it felt like an inevitability for Dark Allegiance, especially after things were just going so much in their way on their attack. They went into point C with almost 6 minutes, which is nearly like impossible to do. That is such an insane feat that they set themselves up for an inevitability, right? They were going to win. It just was a matter of how soon. And it really felt that way too. They were just in control of that map so consistently with their double sniper comp. They were just shutting down so many things that Floof wanted to pull.
Yeah, and this is the point where I start to ask you some of the more interesting questions here, Pulse. Like, what do you think Floof could have done better? Do you think it was just a mechanical game where their snipers were just a little bit more successful? Do you think Totoro on the Tracer was the linchpin? Do you think it was tanks, was supports? What do you think happened?
I mean, the thing with Junkertown, and especially Junkertown Point A, where you saw a majority of the time in that map being spent, was that it's so heavily dictated by snipers because of the sight lines. And although Floof wanted to play Junkertown, they were in fact the ones who picked the map. they didn't want to run double sniper for most of it. So it's kind of like taking a gamble, right? You're like, we want to run this map because we're confident in our Widow, but we want to run Tracer. And then the other team comes back. It's like, we're also confident in our Widow, but we also have a confident Hanzo there to
Mhm.
do whatever they want. And it took them too long to get value on the comp they wanted to run there. And because of it, it was time game, right? Like every time you go to an escort is like people kind of like to compare it to other modes, but plays so differently because when it comes down to it, it's a time game. You're playing for
Mhm.
not even fights. You're playing for staggering on cart appropriately. You're playing for making sure that you take fights in the right area. And it's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about on control or assault because it's like you fight on the point for those for the most part, right? Like
Mhm.
you approach in a way, you fight on the point. Whereas like if you set yourselves up with a time bank in Widow duels, or if you find yourself up for a time bank in having an Orisa just keep her pinky toe on the cart for 5 minutes or whatever, right? And they just did it slightly better. And by the time you got to point C in Junkertown, you saw it just in their time bank difference.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree. Um, you mentioned for a brief moment the Orisa, so I wanna recap one of our favorite moments there. The Orisa just getting that 4K. I believe it was Lancelot coming in big. Oh, that's gonna be something I'm looking forward to watching back on stream.
I absolutely want to see like the player cam or like the montage clip of that later on because it's when you're a Orisa player clutches something out, you know something crazy happened, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
something you see every day.
Yeah, but as we look ahead, we're gonna be going into Kings Row. So tell me, Pulse, do you think the Orisa is gonna be a factor at Kings Row?
Both these teams have actually one thing to note is both these teams have run Orisa on both maps so far.
Mhm.
Control Center for Lijiang, where we saw Rhine Orisa. So it's not unheard of, especially as of right now, where Double Shield is still very strong. Although it's not like traditional Double Shield, where there's always Orisa Sigma, right? Like Orisa Sigma is going to be strong in Junkertown because of sightlines and because of how well like Orisa Hog was before, and
Right.
Sigma's just kind of like the better off tank, especially right now. But it's always possible to see like Ryan Orisa here or Sigma Ryan if you want to get a super like heavy aggressive comp and just W into teams.
Mhm.
And like Orisa Sigma is always an option too if you're wanting to run something of that nature. Kings Row is unique in that it allows a lot of teams to run like Ryan Zarya if they so choose, but especially as we get up into advanced and expert, a lot of teams are kind of realizing that that's not always optimal, even if it's something that you want to play all the time,
Mhm.
and are starting to opt for like a little bit more diva play here and there on Kings Row or a little bit more Sigma play. So it's going to be really coming down to what these teams want to run and seeing Dark Allegiance once again on the blue side on the defense first. They are going to be running this Orisa and Sigma, so nothing too surprising there. And Mesmer is going to be looking at this diva early on, so I don't know if the diva is going to stick, especially into double shield, but the defense, I can't argue with it. It works so well. Blessno, we saw earlier on
Yeah.
Echo doing a lot of work on Lijiang Gardens, and they're just running this 4 DPS backline, if you will, in the Orisa,
Mhm.
the Sigma, the Zen, and the Baptiste. All of them are not technically DPS heroes, but put out so much aggressive and damage and pressure that they might as well be.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree. And further to the point, I do like the DPS picks that are specifically coming in from Dark Allegiance. Daily Furball might actually be sticking on this McCree, which is a little bit unusual. I don't remember the last time I've seen a McCree in Kings Row, but either way, the Dynamite coming in from I Just Click, going to be getting some big burn damage, already a third of the way to that Bob. Going to be burning down Floof, making them invest a few of the healing resources that come through here. And with this, they're taking their time to really rotate through this high ground and be using that Lucio speed boost to make things as comfortable as possible. But Daily Furball doesn't seem to make it onto the high ground with the rest of the team. And right
And
now,
they are just rotating around
mhm,
very slowly, forcing the double shield to take weird spots. And they're probably going to want to drop here because if you're fighting in this close corners against a Maya and a Diva and a Reinhardt, you don't want to be doing that. Let me just tell you right now, that's a bad idea.
yeah, this positioning from Daily Furball looks really nice so far. It looks like he might be trying to push up onto the Ashe. Instead, just drops right onto the Sigma. So close to taking down Ploki, but Lucio's going to be there with the with the boop, rather. Can't grasp the boop out of thin air, but I Just Click taking down the McCree. It looked like it was going to be the Echo play by Blessna, but not quite. The attacker's looking pretty good, but they're looking just as thin as the defense. They do have respawn advantage here, so they could swing it back.
And it is the defensive holding out, but just barely. Only 3 members left alive on point. Night Meadow, we saw that on stream, almost getting the one clip onto the Ashe with the quad headshot, but now the defense is kind of reeling. They need to get back here and set up, and offense should take control of the point early.
Yeah, Bob gonna be thrown right behind the car, gets knocked off of point though, so he's not able to really put in the contest. Blesna copying the Reinhardt, gonna be trying to push in. Doesn't really get a whole lot of value with that duplicate, but it's still gonna help them succeed in getting the point defense.
Oh, but they get the Diva stagger. That actually might be more important than the duplicate in this. They cut off so much time. And even though they got the slam, but they didn't get like a lot of damage or flashy plays off, they got the space, which is the important thing. They forced the defense to retreat. They got the Diva stagger. Mesmer is going to just toss away any ult charge they had. Go over to Sigma, and is actually going to stick on this Sigma now. They realize Diva isn't the pick. They're going to want to get aggressive, get in the face of the double shield, and they're just struggling to do that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I just click gonna be trying to get that dynamite value in once again. Gets a little bit of it, but not an incredible amount. The amplification window coming in from Money Baloney, trying to just pry the pressure onto the attacking team. But again, these long rotations.
Yeah, they have to do it though. That's what's so unfortunate about this. It's not like they're doing it wrong or they're doing it slow. They're doing it as best they can, but the rotations by the defense, the counter ones to get out of the way, are just so good. Honestly, they are having trouble catching up to the Orisa Sigma, and they're just dancing around point, and the offense does have some tools to play with, namely that more coalescence and the headshot onto Blesna. They can do this now.
Yeah, Daily Furball does have the high noon, going to be popping it, but everybody's in the hotel, not really able to capitalize too much about it. The Immortality Field not covering Lancelot, as it looks like Daily Furball able to take them out with the high noon, with the Deadeye. And the flashbang onto Ploki's going to help them secure this kill, and finally the offense are able to crack through.
Blesna almost gets a kill there with the sticky bombs coming through the window, but it is finally the offensive game to play. They got point, they're going to get control, but the defense entirely close spawned, except for I Just Click, who was apparently in the attacker spawn for some reason. You can't go in the church if you're a defense player.
Yeah, and it looked like I Just Click was looking for a little bit of prayer right about there, but now the team's going to be pushing it through second card, and they're not going to get this archway defense here, Pulse.
They're not, and because of that super late kill onto I Just Click, you see the defense go entirely all the way back, have to wait for this Ashe player to come back. But the big thing online right now is Blesna with the duplicate. Totoro has the Blizzard, which can find some value, but you're playing into a bunker. Like, it needs to be the perfect Blizzard.
It certainly does, and they're going to be down a member as well. Blesna going to be investing that duplicate, going into the Ryan form. Not really able to find much, though, not perhaps doing a whole lot on it, but does impose that will, forces the team back, and with that, it's going to be an easy defense.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, I'd like to point out is, even though we see Blesna copying the Ryan a lot, part of the reason they're not getting a lot of value is because they don't have that Lucio to ferry him around. Like, a Ryan wants to be in people's face, and as soon as the Ryan comes out, you see Night Meadow just hightail his team out of there with the speed amp, and now we see the defense in a position we don't see them a lot. They don't have any ults. Money Baloney is the closest with almost having a window, but with these rotations and the way the offense hasn't been poking, it's not going to build up quickly. And they find the Sigma inside, caught out, barely escapes though.
Yeah, Totoro not able to get that wall up just in time. Has the Blizzard, will Floof and decide to invest it. Mookie going to be investing that Coalescence to start instead. Doesn't seem to do a whole lot, keeps their team sustained for a little bit. But Money Baloney does invest that window, but the entirety of Floof just backs off a little bit. The Blizzard going out, not quite able to be caught by Ploki. And with this, the Freeze is trying to come in, but nobody really getting locked down because of it. Night Meadow going to be dropping that sound barrier, trying to keep everybody alive as Bob is on the field. I Just Click trying to make something happen, and Bloki gonna be throwing in a grab Flux, trying to get the kills coming through and succeeding. I might add, the defense finally put their heels on the ground.
Yeah, we just saw a little bit of a trampoline going in the back. Two Sigmas with gravitic fluxes. The entire team goes up, down, up, down, up, down. But it's a little bit of a funny play that I haven't seen in a while. Now, we did see Blesna get in a position where they end up using duplicate, right? Like, that's their biggest all. That's what they want to play with. Seth is online with Transcendent, so they have their oh shit button, if you will, if things get a little bit dicey. But Mesmer has to find an opening. Night Meadow now finally making the swap over to Brig. No more Lucio for them, but it's I Just Click taking down Daily Furball early in this fight. The offense is going to have to wait around while Mesmer kind of cleans out this high ground with his Brig friend.
Yeah, but, I mean, Mesmer, their team is already down 3 members, looking so good here, and now it's just some late kills going into the attacking team, and can anybody even touch the cart?
I don't know. It's the Ashe escaping. 13 seconds left. One final attempt if they want to try and send someone. It might be Totoro since they swapped over to Ash, but the ball is coming through. 5 seconds left. They're going to make a break for it, but gets halted and shredded.
Yeah, absolutely not going to be able to manage. Mesmer trying to use that grab flux just to fly a little bit more. Not going to be finding it, though, as Dark Allegiance setting themselves up for a pretty good third map win.
Yeah, and this might be over a little bit before it starts, because honestly, ever since Gardens, Dark Allegiance has absolutely just stepped this up and taken this game to a pace that Floof struggled to adapt to. They were able to do a crazy full hold on Gardens to get back from a 97-0, not give up a whole fight. And it looks like ever since that moment, their heads have just been absolutely in this game, and they've been catching Floof off guard with these compositions, with their counter rotations, and honestly, with some very impressive DPS play as well.
Yeah, I mean, I will give Dark Allegiance some credit, but I think really a lot of the credit goes to Floof, because there have just been times where they seem like they don't know quite, they don't have the full reality of things, right? Like there was the big C9. I know that the community loves that term, but I think it's fair to call that on Junkertown, that really you didn't need to take that early, especially when the kills were going so well your way. I think a little bit of the mental game may be on its hinges as far as Floof's concerned.
Yeah, mental game is definitely part of it. I also will say it's just like, it just looks like Dark Allegiance is really feeling it today, and Floof might just be having a little bit of an off day too, because we see a star play from their players individually, but it's just not as consistently there. Now, for the first time this map, we actually see the full original, well, not original, I guess, but Genji Tracer dive coming out from Dark Allegiance. They're playing for Nano Blades, they're playing for eventualities, and 1 or 2 fights in, they should just be able to get into a position where they're playing for Blades and gonna win this. But Totoro on this Echo gonna try and keep this fight going, and Floki is the first one to get demech'd, taken out of this fight, and things will get slowed down a little bit from Dark Allegiance from this. But look at this flank from the Tracer and Genji all the way in the back line. Totoro finds Seth, but the Ana isn't in a hard to get position, and the Genji's challenging this Ashe very early.
Yeah, but the Brig there to back them up. It's going to be Night Meadow backing up at Genji, but the trade comes through. Genji's still able to take down Daily Furball.
That's
just huge. In the back line, trying to pester this tank, kind of breaking Yoshikiss's ankles there a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough. They bought a lot of space, but the number is not necessarily in their favor.
Yeah, look, they have control of point. The Sigma's up here on high ground, but the Orisa's going to have to fight tooth and nail to get back in, and it is going to be Lancelot dropping. Eventually? Actually is staying alive, but the DPS trade their life for him, and Lancelot's doing his best right now in the corner, just hiding.
Yeah, and it's so close to first tick. Dark Allegiance continues to get that. Mesmer just getting driven off point by the D.Va Jets. Getting pounced upon. And it's kind of like a death of 1,000 cuts right now. Dark Allegiance keeps getting 1 or 2 kills, and that's enough to keep them in this. The pulse mine coming out, going to be landing onto Totoro, and now the rest of the team, including the support's going to get cleaned up. Dark Allegiance takes it.
What a messy fight, but when your attacker's running dive like that, you can afford to be a little messy. Lancelot, get out of their spawn, please!
Lancelot going to be going for it, has that primal in the pocket, instead just chooses to drop, but some ults on lag coming up here, Pulse.
Just a couple. Everything available for the offense other than Pulse Bomb, which isn't one you normally look to for big plays most of the time. However, the defense firing back 6 ultimates themselves. This is going to be an absolute slobber knocker of a fight. Daily Furball, really all you need in this fight should be the Bob. But they're in a position where they're likely going to have to invest more than they want just to keep this going, especially with a Dragon Blade coming online.
Yeah, we're going to be popping that rally as the dive comes in from the tanks. The Dragon Blade, the Nano Blade rather, coming in. Not able to tear down that Immortality field as quick as they might like Blesna. Not able to find really a whole lot. Almost gets caught out by the Karab Flux. Floki gets a double with the D.Va Bomb. It looks like all the ults in the world and all the King's men could not save the side of Floof once again as the cleanup comes in, and this card is so close to making cap.
Yeah, and with the late spawn from the attacker all the way on point, see, Lancelot's just going for it. I respect this man a lot right now. It's just halting this Lucio. No one's going to even be able to touch. The Tracer has no blinks. The ball gets booped out, and the cart just smooth sails into the final point. Dark Allegiance convincingly take King's Row and go up 8-1 now for GGNA Season 5.
Yeah, Dark Allegiance kind of snowballed there. You know, it looked pretty competitive on Lijiang. It looked a little bit more dominant from Dark Allegiance on Junkertown, but here in Kings Row, they just made it work for them. And I'm happy right now for Dark Allegiance, and we saw some great plays, I think, coming out from both teams. But we saw a dive. We saw a dive.
More importantly, we saw a Genji Tracer dive, which is
Yes.
what a lot of people really miss in Overwatch. Like, my heart's still with Goats personally, but I respect Genji Tracer dive. So we got to see some of it, especially on Kings Row, which you don't really get to see it a whole lot. But like we said, Dark Allegiance, very convincing. I'm very excited to see this team further on because it is absolutely a team that we're going to see later on in playoffs for sure. And Floof put forth their valiant effort, but I think once Junkertown, we saw a couple of mistakes come out, especially with that C9. I think their mental game took a hit, and it was just a little too much to come back from in this same session of Overwatch. But I'm sure that another day, another time, they will come back firing and look quite strong.
Yeah, and I mean, Floof, I think that it did kind of come down to just one or two mistakes that were just because their head wasn't in the game, especially on King's Row. That first point on the Dark Allegiance offense looked like it could have very easily gone Floof's way. It's just you lose control of the wheel for 1 second and the car skids off the road sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good analogy too, right? Because one of the things that you look for, especially in expert teams, especially in GM teams that are trying to get in that top 500, trying to get officially into tier 3, are these set plays, are these good rotations. And Floof had those. Like, they knew how to approach compositions. They knew how to rotate around, especially on King's Row. If you want to run Rhine Sigma, they were doing the proper rotations and forcing very intelligent counter rotations from Dark Allegiance. But I think overall, the consistency in their star playing wasn't there today. Like, there are definitely moments where you saw like Mesmer or Yoshikiss, both the DPS, both the supports, pull off very impressive plays, but it just wasn't consistently there like it was for Dark Allegiance. And when it comes down to things like that, it's you can't be mad at it because you're on the right track to tier 3dom, right? But it's just a couple things. Maybe it wasn't your day, maybe it wasn't the best conditions for playing, but like after that match, I can't be mad because Dark Allegiance just went ham on it to some teams and really came out showing that they're going to be a strong competition, not only in GGNA, but like open division in like any other form of tier 3. If we get to like trials or things like that, I think this team is very strong, and it might come down to a little bit of their versatility in the end, because we did see a lot of Orisa Sigma and not a whole lot of things that were surprising or out of the ordinary. And against teams that are like tier 2 range, that's where it comes down to a lot more. But this team is really making a name for themselves.
Yeah, got to be looking forward to seeing both these teams as we move along here. But Pulse, what do we got coming up next in our casting schedule here?
So for the rest of the day in GGNA, our next match will in fact be an intermediate division. So this is going to be two diamond teams between Wacky Wildcat Cubs and Corvus Static. So we're going to throw it a quick break while we get these two teams into our next lobby, because that one did end a little quick.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for this next match we have going on.